That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here,
And PerGron.
and welcome to the show where, let's see if I can get this right this time. Something about like finding out what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus. It's Plus&Us. Yeah,
Woo.
totally nailed it. Totally nailed it.
Perfect.
All right. Oh my God. So on tonight's episode, folks, we are talking season 1, episode 4. Can't say I remember no Attin. But this is a very special episode, of course, because this is the highly anticipated episode done by the one, or the two, I should say.
The two and only.
The Daniels.
The Daniels.
Yeah. And PerGron, I'm gonna come out with a hot take. All right.
Okay.
I like this episode. I certainly think it's an interesting kind of like bit of world building. I do think the character arcs are on point. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling like the Daniels were signed to this episode specifically because it kind of deals in, kind of introducing some of the broader concepts of the show. I have a feeling essentially what we're going to be dealing with is kind of like simulations of the same kind of planet. Mm-hmm. So we've definitely got like an everywhere, everything vibe going on with the different variations on the same kind of like planet structure.
Right.
That being said, I think from a directorial standpoint, this is probably the weakest one we've gotten out of the 4. I just think this one's kind of all right. I like the character moments, but there's also, for the first time in these shows, kind of, or in this show in particular, a couple, maybe 1 or 2 hiccups here and there. There's one character in here I don't really care for that I might be on the internet's bad side about. There's, this is an episode that I absolutely feel kind of shows why Disney Star Wars shows should just be like 30 minutes locked in. I really feel like not seeing Jod's side of what he was doing on this planet kind of hurt this episode just as far as the pacing goes. I just feel like the pacing, it's kind of funny because with Disney Star Wars, the pacing is usually too fast. But with this episode, I kind of thought we were kind of speed running through some important stuff. But overall, it's a good episode. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's my least favorite of the 4 so far, just from a storytelling. Although I really did like the ending. The stuff in the middle, I don't know. I could have taken it or left it.
The stuff in the middle where we're basically kind of going this sort of like Lord of the Flies meets kind of Mad Max route with like, this is kind of like a depiction of an Attin that kind of fell apart. Like it's kind of conceptually interesting, but at the same time, I feel like the Lord of the Flies, like post-apocalyptic vibe, it's not what I signed up to this show for, and I don't really think it vibes all that well, and I'm just gonna call it like I see it. I'm very sorry. I think the 4 actors playing the main kids are super talented. I feel like all 4 of them have really shown so far. The actress playing Neil's little girlfriend in this episode, outside of some impressive parkour moves, not the most compelling line delivery, to say the least.
It might be the French accent.
Well, it probably is, but it was just awkward. I was just like, what? Like, I don't, oh no, I'm not gelling with this. Like, I should be way more engaged in sweet baby Neil finding love than I am with this particular character. And she just feels like a very stock, like she feels like she could have been out of like fucking Hook or something like that. You know
what she reminded me of?
Who?
She reminded me of Enfys Nest in Solo.
Oh God! Oh no, that's not good. I hate that actress, man. It's nothing against her. She just has not had good roles. Like she was, what was her name in frickin' Carly? I think in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Arguably one of the absolute worst, quote unquote, sympathetic villains in the MCU.
Yeah, she should have just been evil. But yeah, it might also be that this is like a rebels against the main army story.
True, yeah.
So, and that's obviously what her plot line is in Solo.
Mm-hmm.
And what Star Wars in general is. This definitely felt like a Clone Wars episode. Like
But I think that's the problem, though, is that skeleton
yeah,
crew has felt so refreshing, and like it's very much like kind of had that Amblin vibe while still feeling Star Wars enough to make sense that it's taking place in the Star Wars universe, but
right.
still feeling fresh and new. And outside of the stuff that we do with Smee in this episode, which is admittedly really cool,
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think that we're getting that kind of like Goonies vibe that we were really coasting on for the first three episodes, you know?
Yeah, and I think that this is just like a little detour in what we're gonna end up getting. But
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily think it's a detour. I think it's more of kind of like setting the stage. I'm pretty sure, if I were to guess, I'm pretty sure the rest of the series is going to kind of follow these different variations on Attin, what that all means, and put the pieces together. So we kind of needed that setup.
right. Yeah, that all these other planets have been. I like that when they say the planets have been destroyed, it doesn't mean like Death Star destroyed. It means like their society collapsed.
Right, but I mean, at this point, like I said, I'm kind of getting like just in media in general, especially with like current events, I'm kind of getting sick of the whole post-apocalyptic thing.
Yeah, I've been sick of it since 2016.
So basically, like 1 year after Fury Road, like
pretty much.
Fury Road comes out, and you're like, I'm good.
Yeah,
it can't get better than this.
That's what I needed. We're good. Although 28 years later, I'm very excited for. That'll bring it back. But yeah, I mean, besides it feeling like a bump, I still did think it was a decent episode. I liked what they did with Neil. I think giving Neil a Neil-focused episode is great. I really like that they use the Eopies in this, which are the things that fart in Jar Jar's face in episode 1. But they look different. Like, these are clearly not the desert Eopies that live on Tatooine. They have horns, and I like seeing that kind of world building stuff where like these are clearly like a adjacent species.
For sure. All right.
I like seeing Wim launch himself backwards with a gun.
Little Blue is in the comments. He says, have you guys seen where in Skeleton Crew they incorporate more holiday special? This time they included the circus hologram that Lumpy watched. Yeah, I definitely noticed that. We keep waiting for the the porn that Itchy watches to make the appearance. That's going to be the real question if they go that far.
Jod will discover that and just
God. Like, that's the show. He's just a porn addict now. We have like a whole episode just with Jod wrestling with his porn addiction. Turns out that was his dark secret the whole time.
You're no Jedi.
Oh God. Yes, Little Blue. I am very much anticipating if we do continue with the holiday special references, we should get the stir whip lady for sure. And next episode comes out on Christmas Eve, so like I would not be surprised if we get at least one holiday special cameo.
B. Arthur back from the dead.
All right, so let's break things down. I once again, I just kind of feel like the biggest issue I have with this episode is the pace. I just think things just kind of like happen a little too fast. Like they land on the planet, and I do like that Smee just literally has to go into babysitting mode with God. Come here, baby. Just props to Nick Frost. I mean, I think he's doing some incredible voice work with his character. It's really great. It's really different from his kind of like dim-witted idiot role that he's known for in the Edgar Wright movies.
Right. Yeah, it's very, and he feels like a pirate. He's the most piratey character.
Totally. So yeah, that's fun. I think the big problem, like I said, I truly feel like this episode, we absolutely, I genuinely feel like we needed like 10 minutes of Jod on the planet negotiating shit. Because when he shows up and he's got like, the last time we see him before he shows back up, he literally just says like, "Oh, just shoot me."
Right.
And it's like, I understand building up the character who can get out of scrappy situations with his charm, but that very much felt like a tell don't show moment. You know what I mean? And
I'd even be okay with it if they showed him like in their camp being held prisoner or something.
right,
I don't need
yeah.
to see the individual dealing with the leadership. But like if he was trapped and he's in like a jail cell and he's trying to like, hey, let me out of here and I'll pay you, and they're like kicking him or something.
All right, but yeah, let's get into Neil's arc, because he definitely has a decent arc. Like, I don't think it's amazing. I think overall
It feels Saturday morning specially.
yes, for sure, and that in its own way kind of felt very Clone Wars. Overall, honestly, even though she has way less screen time, I think Fern's arc in this episode is way more emotionally impactful to me. That might be because I've been on the Fern train the whole time. I think she's, out of these 4 kids, she's the one that feels the most distinctly like she was pulled out of the 80s, out of one of these Amblin movies. And yeah, she gets a really great moment towards the end. We'll kind of build to that. But Neil, yeah, it's essentially the whole like tried and true like pacifism is good, actually. And yes, it is. I'm a pacifist, and I've never been in a fight in my life. Like, if you try to fight me, I will literally just be like, yeah, you know what? You're probably going to kick my ass. I'm going to let you have this. And at the same time, I'm going to insult me a couple different times so that you can get your insults in. Yep. You know, whatever you need, buddy.
Right.
So I can relate to the message. It's just, I think it's a little heavy-handed, though. I think just like...
Oh, it definitely is.
Like, when they come back from showing Neil the big gun, which kind of felt like a pointless little side
I think there's going to be a big gun on the one on Attin, and Neil's going to have to use it to shoot down pirates. That's my theory.
I mean, that's cool. It just felt in the moment. It felt like, okay, why are we showing him this? What is, like... It felt sloppy. It felt like kind of almost a little too, like, oh, this will come back later, guys. Take note of it. and then when we come back and it's like, like fucking Wim is like, hey, Neil, check out this huge ass gun. It's like, okay, Joe, this is a little on the nose, dude. I don't know, man. Honestly, the more I talk about it, the more I do think that this episode really did kind of rush some things. Do you think that my theory is kind of relatively true, that the Daniels basically came in and were like, yeah, we're going to get the Star Wars money, but we're not really going to try?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they probably figured, like, there's no way that Disney would let them actually go crazy with their... I was not expecting a Swiss Army Man or Everything Everywhere All at Once style, like, bonkers filmmaking. From
now, give us that movie in the Star Wars universe. I'm in.
But, Swiss Army Man?
Yeah, in Star Wars, but maybe not in the kids' pirate show.
Right. Okay. So yeah, like I said, when Jaw does I don't know, man. I just think that there's just the whole plot of like, okay, now we got to go on this raid, and the whole thing with the kids just being like warriors already, like, and it's all a little forced. It's I hate to be so negative about this, because I was really looking forward to this episode, and I've been loving this show in general. But honestly, after this episode, I'm kind of like, all right, we'll see if the show can recover. Like, it's not a terrible episode, but I don't think this episode really brought things forward all that much.
Yeah, I think
on the most fundamental plot level,
it felt like they were trying to just get to the end scene.
Right.
Which I think was great. I think it did not save the episode, but I think it made it worth going through it.
Although I even have a nitpick about the very ending, which we'll get to. So let's get like I already kind of established, I do think that the editing is a bit wonky for Jod kind of having this whole side adventure that's entirely off screen. Again, it's felt very show don't tell, or tell don't show, I should say. So that was a little messy up front. The reunion with Jod is nice.
Yeah.
And I do like Fern's little moment of like, Jod, you actually helped us.
I also like the joke when they're like, "Are you sure you want these 4 and not the hides?" And he goes, "How many hides?"
Right. And I don't know, honestly, those little moments kind of make me warm up to the guy a little bit, but then again, in the back of my mind, I'm kind of like, okay, but could he just be doing the whole like jovial dad joke thing as a cover, you know?
Oh, I still think he's going to like betray them and then come back and save them. I think that's very much where this is headed. I think it's going to be like, it's going to be very
interesting, though.
I know. I hope not, but I think he's going to be like, all right, Attin, and then he's going to like, they're going to get there and he's going to be like, yeah, this is it. Fuck you guys.
It's basically going to be like John Silver and Treasure Planet. Like,
yeah,
here's where I betray you.
Yep. And then here's where I come back and save you from the werewolf man.
And he's gonna have to throw his treasure that he's been the werewolf man. The treasure that he's been working his entire life to find, he's gonna have to throw it into the sun or some such bullshit.
Yeah. He's gonna have to destroy the barrier. And use the treasure to defeat it or something.
And then at the end, Wim's going to graduate to become a New Republic officer, and he's just going to be there. But you know, he can't get too close. But they still respect each other, even though they're on other sides of the law. Okay, so basically, the last 4 episodes is just going to be Treasure Planet.
Yeah.
Does that make Smee Ben?
Yeah, I think Smee gets really annoying after that.
Oh my god. All right. So yeah, I don't know, like as far as the real, what I hope is that every variation on because they all start with at. It's all at something. So I'm really hoping that like this is the post-apocalyptic Mad Max one. I hope to God they're not all like that. I hope that maybe some of them are like even way more developed and high tech than Attin is. I think that'd be cool. Like, you know, like they're all on different variations of, you know, different levels of technology and civilization. Because I think it'd just be
I'd like
really
to see
boring.
I'd like to see kind of different post-apocalyptic, like maybe
I don't
one
want
got
to see
hit with
apocalypse. I'm not interested in that. I want to see like different. I kind of hope they go like the more, you know, dystopian route with it.
Yeah, I feel like one will be like flooded. We'll all be underwater. We're gonna get an underwater episode.
The animals from Flow will make a cameo.
Yeah,
and the space whale,
the
giant whale.
Yeah, and we'll get we'll get one that's been like it's Mordor basically.
Oh God.
One's an ice world now. I don't know. Yeah, I really don't want it to just be. If we're gonna go to all of them and they're all just civil wars, I will be very disappointed.
I mean, I would not mind if they all had some sort of political conflict going on. I just don't want them to all be like internal civil wars.
I'd even be fine to go to one more. There's no people left, and they're like, "Uh-oh,
right?
They've all been destroyed."
Right. Because honestly, that's one of the things that this show has kind of excelled at so far is that every episode has felt very distinct from each other in terms of setting.
Yeah, I want more pirate. Give me more pirate. Why are we doing Clone Wars episodes in the middle of this?
I mean, at least we didn't get like at least one of the people in this planet wasn't like Bo-Katan's niece or something.
Yeah, no,
like
don't let Dave Filoni anywhere near. Don't let him anywhere. You know, Corky Kryze or fucking who was the one that Ahsoka was in love with? He was on the Saw Gerrera episode, one of the Separatist guys. Anyway. You know he was if Dave Filoni be like, oh, we can put this character in. This is Saw Gerrera's great nephew.
Because Dave Filoni is apparently like an 80-year-old woman who smokes 2 packs a day.
Yeah, he is. I love Clone Wars. I have no respect for Dave Filoni anymore.
I feel ya. Yeah.
Hey, let's put fucking Rada the Hutt, voiced by Jeremy Allen White.
That is fucking wild.
You remember this character who hasn't been seen since 2008? Yeah, we're gonna voice him by Jeremy Allen White.
I mean, I'm all for like expanding on the Hutts. I think they're genuinely some of the most fascinating characters in Star Wars. But Jeremy Allen White, yeah, that's a weird pool, man. That's a weird pool.
Also, I'm pretty sure Rada, like canonically, the Hutts spend 50 years in like a brood pouch. And then they come out and they spend like 200 years as an infant. So, so either we're getting canon breaking adult Rada, or we're getting baby Rada voiced by Jeremy Allen White.
I want the latter, and I want Jeremy Allen White to say nothing but like generic quotes from the bear. It being like, "Yes, chef. Yes, chef."
I just want him to make baby noises the whole time. But yeah, the one nice thing I will say about this episode is at least Dave Filoni doesn't have his grubby fucking mitts on it.
Jesus Christ.
Because I fully expect if he did, it would be a separatist leader bongo to bongus. And there'll be some, hey, you remember him from this one episode of this thing? But yeah, you want to talk about the end?
Sure. Before we build to the actual ending, I want to talk about like, the frustration that Fern feels over not being able to know what to do. That scene, genuinely maybe my favorite character beat in the whole series so far. I really like the fact that the episode just starts with Fern like kind of being in that captain position, and Jod's not taking her too seriously, but he's kind of going along with it, just the whole like, I'm the captain and you stay out of the cockpit.
No adults in the cockpit.
Right. Like she's still kind of holding on to that, almost childish whim of she actually has any sort of power in this situation.
Right.
And then after the course of this episode, she kind of has that realization that I think, frankly, all stupid teenagers who are too headstrong realize at one point in their lives, which is that they don't know shit. Like they do not know. They don't know anything. And I think the way the actress played it was just very, very endearing and sympathetic. And I'm like, Neil is obviously the big standout fan favorite for good reason. But I think just as far as just the emotional arc, I'm way more invested in Fern than I am any of the other characters. I think she's kind of the heart of the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I do like that Wim was there to comfort her. I like that they're kind of growing closer,
Mm-hmm.
They're not quite rivals anymore. That's nice.
Yeah, her arc in this episode felt like, I don't know if you've watched Community, but it felt there's a character, Abed, and he has a whole plot line in one episode in the back where he's delivering a baby. And it's all just in the background of every shot, and there's no focus on it until the very end, and that's what this felt like. It's like we're all following this story, and in the background, we see Fern struggling.
Right, totally, yeah. All right, then let's get to the climactic. I do think just I love the setup of how Fern would lie to her maid droid in order to get around the programming, and that came back into play. That was really cool.
Yeah, the Chekhov's maid droid.
Indeed. And Nick Frost just going full blown like danger mode.
Yeah, that was kind of scary.
It was. Like, wow. It was. Neil coming in, which felt very Saturday morning, but in a way I can kind of appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah, he had his pacifist arc, but now he has to fight.
Indeed. Jod turning off the controls. The one element of this episode, the ending, that it bothers me a lot, even more on a rewatch. I honestly think the actual like last line of the episode where Wim's like, he passed out. It's so awkward. Tell me it's not. It is very half baked. It feels like a very half baked line delivery.
Just show it. I think they said it to make it sure kids know he didn't die.
No, I get it. I get that, but it's just like, you know what I mean, though. Just the fact that we have to have that line at the very end, and I like the actor who plays Wim. I don't think he's one of the stronger of the 4 kid actors. I think he brings a lot of charisma when he's being energetic, like when he's on the planet, at the beginning of the episode, he's swinging the stick around like a lightsaber. I think that's kind of where his wheelhouse is as far as performance goes. It's not the dramatic line deliveries. I don't think this kid is great at dramatic line deliveries.
Yeah, he should have instead said he's dead. And end the episode with that.
And then fucking like cat moms the world over would just raid Disney.
Star Wars Theory would love it. It's finally dark and gritty.
Oh, God.
I think he's been enjoying the show. I don't follow him, but he loves his dark and gritty. So,
well, I mean, as we've already kind of established time and time again talking about the show, I think what really makes the show work is just the fact that like it's such great counter programming to Andor. It doesn't diminish Andor. Andor doesn't diminish this. I think they both work very complementary towards each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they both fit into a galaxy-spanning universe.
I mean, to me, it's kind of like when the MCU was like in its, in like phase 3, and we had like the Captain America kind of political espionage side of the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the Guardians Galaxy Cosmic side. We had the Iron Man kind of like tech sort of corporate shenanigans side.
Yeah, the Black Panther pissing
right, like
off.
It kind of feels
side.
like that again. And that's nice. It's nice to have that.
Yeah. The Captain Marvel getting people mad at the fact that women get a movie now.
All right. So the next episode, I honestly, it kind of bugs me that we don't have episode names until this has always been a Disney thing that we don't have episode names until right when the episode airs. But the next episode is done by Jake Schreier, who I believe he's really good friends with John Watts.
Yeah.
And he's definitely the least proven of the kind of like murderer's row of awesome directors that we've been getting.
Yeah.
The last 3 are going to be Bryce Dallas Howard, Lee Isaac Chung, and then John Watts coming back to round it out in episode 8. I don't know. He could surprise us, though. I mean, let's face it. The first Bryce Dallas Howard Star Wars episode, when we came to that in Mando, we probably didn't think much of Bryce Dallas Howard directing. But now I truly think Bryce Dallas Howard has kind of carved a niche for herself. I don't know how well she'd do just directing an average movie, but as far as directing episodes of Star Wars particularly,
right,
she's surprisingly good at it. So yeah,
I'm excited to see Lee Isaac Chung's episode.
Same. Out of all the episodes to come, I think that's the one I'm most excited about.
He's a twister. Like Twisters was so much fun. I'm excited to see what he brings.
Well, the thing with him is that he does a really good job of even as fun and popcorn of a movie as Twisters is, it did kind of have a heart to it, you know?
Yeah.
And Minari obviously is all heart. So I feel like he's a really good director as far as kind of threading that needle. I almost said threading that needle.
Threading that needle.
As far as threading the needle.
That's got to be an episode title. Threading
that needle.
It's got to be an episode title.
But you know what I mean? It's like I feel like Lee Isaac Chung can kind of take his auteur sensibilities and work them into what Star Wars wants them to be way easier than the Daniels. Yeah, which, like I said, I'm not surprised that we didn't get because the Daniels, when you think of the Daniels' actual style, you almost kind of have to build an entire show around that.
Right.
Either that or do some weird kind of format break, like a drug trip or something,
Yeah, get these kids stoned.
That's honestly kind of what I was hoping for. I'm not going to lie. Maybe have a cameo from Oga's Cantina.
Ooh.
The character that they're too cheap to actually build an animatronic of. She's up there. She's watching me every day. Quoting that from the Jenny Nicholson Star Cruiser video. Like, yes, cast member, you can exposit that Oga exists all you want, but
I don't believe you.
We don't have any physical evidence of it. I'm sorry, I'm not a little kid anymore. I can't just suspend my disbelief like that.
I've seen the ceiling at It's a Small World. It's all broken now.
Oh, God. All right. I think we did a half hour. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a theory, but I forgot what it was.
Ooh, a film theory?
Yeah, a TV show theory. It had to do with Smee, but I lost it.
All right.
So it's not important then.
I guess not. Okay, well, that'll do it for us.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah,
a theory. It was just an observation. I like that they played the word game where he's going, I can't say I remember no Attin.
Yeah,
he didn't remember. It's that he can't say he remembered it.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the riddle in Fellowship of the Ring, the speak friend and enter.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of that sort of level of wordplay, which I do always like.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he can remember it, he just can't say he can.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I thought that was kind of
Which
fun.
I like how that legitimizes the pirate speak in this show.
Uh-huh. Can't say I remember no Attin.
And I do like the fact that because when I first saw that was the episode title, I was like, really? Like, we've been saying that line the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it loops back around. It does become very important. I understand why the episode is called that.
And it's better than calling it. Dave Filoni would not have hesitated to call it Limb from Limb. Dave Filoni would have called the episode. That's what the title would have been. That's what Dave Filoni would have called it. Fuck Dave Filoni.
All right, and on that note, we're out of here, everybody.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Little Blue, for joining us in the chat. See y'all next week. Stay tuned. Later tonight, Dragon and Rohit are going to be recapping the totally fine, totally family-friendly, in the spirit of the holidays episode of Creature Commandos that totally did traumatize me. Yeah, totally. All right, have a good night, everyone. See y'all later.
Fuck Dave Filoni.